What is going on, everybody? It's your boy SAJ. It is Wednesday night, and it is time to talk some football. I know this is a little bit off schedule for us because we normally do Tuesdays and sometimes Thursdays, but I wanted to make sure that we made time for this next guest because this guest is an absolute behemoth of a football player. This guy has done some amazing things and comes from an absolutely insane football pedigree. So he gets his own day. I mean, there's no way you don't tell a player like this, you got to stick to my schedule. No, it's more like, well, I'll make myself available for you. So that being the case, without further ado, let me go ahead and bring in our guest. This is Mr. Cade Collenback. Mr. Cade, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great, man, especially for a Wednesday night, right? Middle of the week.
Mm,
And, you know, it, it's all downhill from here, as they say.
right.
Um, super excited to have you on, man. I cannot say thank you enough, first of all, for coming on. Obviously, I'm super excited about this upcoming season and your involvement in that and everything. But I want to make sure some of our guests know who you are. Some of our guests may not know who you are. So I want to make sure that we take an opportunity to give you a chance to kind of introduce yourself to the fans, give them an opportunity to get to know you. But that all starts somewhere, right? So let's go back several years. How did you get your start in football? Why long snapper? And we'll just kind of build from there. So let's start with that.
Mm.
Talk to me about your football, high school stuff like that.
Yeah, so growing up, I was a coach's son. My dad coached football and baseball at O'Connor. I played both sports for him. He was the head baseball coach. He coached offensive line and football. Um, I grew up a ball boy for the O'Connor Panthers, so I'd always be out there as a kid, watching the games, being alongside those kids, and just kind of doing everything you see. You see a quarterback throwing a ball, you see a receiver catching the ball, running back running, and then you see a guy throwing a ball between his legs. So I was doing it all and really taught myself that aspect from a young age. I never took it seriously up until freshman year football tryouts at O'Connor. They lined up every single freshman and they just said, we're going to find out who the snapper is and we're going to eliminate everybody one by one. And so we had about 60 kids just snapping to each other and they're taking out a kid one by one. And, sure enough, at the very end, I was the last one standing and like, all right, well, you're going to snap. I was like, oh, well, that's great. Didn't think too much of it. Because I was, I mean, you're worried about playing other positions, especially in high school. And I played a little defensive end at O'Connor as well. And really, I thought my shot was going to come from baseball. I was an all-state baseball player. I played for my dad. That was kind of, when your dad's the head guy and you got a lot to live up to. I really just wanted to make him proud at O'Connor and had a couple Division One opportunities for baseball. I thought that was going to be my thing in college. And I give a lot of the credit to Thomas Rocco. He was the head coach at Tyler Junior College. He came down to O'Connor one day, and at this point in time, it was all baseball. I had all these baseball offers, and he was like, "Hey, I like Cade Collenback as a snapper. I want to give him a scholarship to come snap here." And I thought in my head, I'm like, "Man, I can't even believe this guy found me." And I went to Tyler Junior College, and he treated me like a king. He rolled out the red carpet. He always believed in me. He said, I specifically remember he was like, he told the team, he was like, he's the best I've ever seen. And I was just like, wow, like I couldn't believe someone thought of me like that. And sure enough, he did all he could to help me get recruited. Um, Ended up getting UTSA, Houston, Baylor, Texas State, some other schools in there as well. But that was kind of my top list. And Baylor was definitely tempting, but nothing excited me more than coming back to San Antonio and playing here. And so I went and spent 6 years, 6 years total college football. 1 year at TJC, Tyler Junior College, and the last five at UTSA. I accumulated 55 starts. Ended up getting some good recognition. I was on some All American lists. I was a Burlsworth Trophy nominee. My last year at UTSA, I was actually on our team's leadership council, and
Oh, nice.
ended up getting a good pedigree there at UTSA. Um, and then after 55 games, you put your name into the draft. I had a really, really, really good pro day. I actually, strength and conditioning also runs deep in my family. Just like my grandfather, he was the strength coach for the New England Patriots, so he had been training me since a very young age. So when that pro day came along last year, I put up a really good number. I had the ninth highest relative athletic score in the country for any position. And so I'm sitting here
Wow.
at this point, I'm getting news coverage. I'm thinking, what team am I going to sign to? What camp am I going to go to? And you get some chatter, you get some talk, but after the draft and all that, it was all crickets, and kind of broke my heart a little bit. And so I was like, man, it just seemed like everything was getting better and better and better, and all of a sudden it's just like nothing. And I'm sitting there thinking, my football years are behind me, and all of a sudden, it was my uncle who had sent me an article that the San Antonio Toros are coming back, and I hear all these stories about my grandfather who played for the San Antonio Toros, and he's got a San Antonio Toro tatted on his calf, and I was like, that is crazy, and
Nice.
something I wanted to do. So I actually reached out to Coach Bedwell, and sure enough, he was like, hey, yeah, come play with us, and that's my next move now, and so that's kind of how everything led up to now.
That's awesome, man. Such an incredible story. And I love the fact that you addressed your family pedigree. With your grandfather playing here for the San Antonio Toros, the championship winning San Antonio Toros, by the way. And then, of course, your connection with, UTSA and your high school and all that. That's just a phenomenal story. And it makes sense, or I should say, rather, it's fitting that you were the first signed to the roster for the San Antonio Toros. And you should be, right? Homegrown talent, deep, deep roots here. You are the San Antonio Toros. So it only makes sense that you're the first one. Um, with that being the case, um, I guess this next question is probably a moot question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. So you said you had some pro camp tryouts. You did well there. Maybe things didn't quite materialize the way that you thought they were going to. I'm sure somebody probably overlooked it or maybe was looking for something very specific in a position and kind of overlooked some of the extra things that you can do, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But why specifically the San Antonio Toros of the Continental Football League rather than maybe some of the opportunities that you had? Because I'm sure you could have easily been picked up at an arena team or something crazy like that. What about this opportunity said, Cade, you need to come be a part of it?
I'm pretty hard headed. And I think it's one of those things where, if an arena team called, I would kind of be more like, no, I'm gonna wait for, an NFL team to be like, hey, come to a tryout. And I was always kind of in that boat. Like it's, I'm not gonna do anything unless an NFL team says to come, do a tryout. There's always been something about the Toros just because my grandfather, he's got that legacy with San Antonio. Um, and I never thought that it would come back. And this entire time since the Toros came back, um, this hasn't been about me at all. And I don't want it to be about me, quite frankly. I really want to do this for him. And, if I go out there and, an NFL team doesn't call me, I'm just going to be able to know that, I was able to do something that not a lot of people can say they did and follow in the footsteps of, someone before them. And it's
Mhm.
very sentimental for me. And just to model after him would, means the world to me.
That that's awesome, man. I did not honestly expect the answer to go that deep, and I'm extremely impressed right now. Not gonna lie. I love the fact that you're trying to follow in your grandfather's footsteps. I love the fact that you're putting all that kind of stuff before yourself, and specifically, you're putting the team before you.
Mhm.
That is a rare quality to find, and not to bash professional athletes, because not everyone is like that, but you tend to hear more about the guys who are more about themselves and, me, put the spotlight on me. You hear less about those hardworking grunts in the trenches, that it truly is about the team, because they're doing everything they can to make sure that they're doing their part and supporting their brothers so that everybody succeeds, right? And that, I would probably, well, let me ask you this. What would you attribute that character trait to? Like, was it an influence from one of your coaches, your family? Where does that come from?
110% my father. He was my, like I said before, he was my head baseball coach at O'Connor. And he was just, if there's one thing about my dad being a head baseball coach, it was selfishness kills teams. And growing up, I mean, that guy was my best friend. I was following him around. I was asking him question after question, and just being a part of it, going from being his bat boy to being a player for him. Um, he was just very high on, the egos, the selfishness. It doesn't matter how good you are, that kills a team. And he really just embodied that in me. And I saw that firsthand. And, I've seen him coach teams. I've been a part of teams that's like, you have all the freaking talent in the world, and there's no reason why you shouldn't have just a stellar season. And it just all goes to crud because a guy or two thinks he needs to be playing this position, or somebody thinks I need to be, over here doing this, and it just creates this drama. And drama is just something that isn't, especially as a man, I think when you got a group of men, drama is just something that should not be in the room. And whenever you put together a team that's selfless, you win games. And it's weird to think, because you always think about these teams that are just stacked, and you expect them to win every single game. And sometimes it's these teams that, it feels like they have a little bit of luck with them. And you create that bondhood, that brotherhood together. The sky's the limit. And he's taken some teams to the state championship for that same reason. And other teams maybe didn't get to the state championship. And, I've always fully believed there's some truth to that. And he really instilled that in me. So I'm trying to keep that in my character today.
That's awesome. There, this is an old saying, and it's cheesy, and I get it, but there truly is no I in team, right?
Mhm.
There's a me in team, but there's not an I.
Right.
And going into it with that attitude doesn't necessarily guarantee success, but it certainly helps your chances, right? And so I have to ask, because you did spend some time at UTSA, right? And you've got some incredible experiences with, being coached by your dad, and having all these different family members that have been kind of a big part of South Texas sports, really.
Mhm.
What was it like continuing on with all these incredible influences, being coached by Jeff Traylor?
Oh, Coach Trailer is, I mean, he is, you look at, you can go to all these different universities and it's all the same. I mean, it's like a restaurant franchise, that's all run the same. Um, Meetings are going to be 3 hours long, practices 3 hours long. Um, Everything's run the same. Coach Trailer, our practices were not long. He said, I'm going to take care of you if you take care of me. So we're going to come into practice. If you give me all your effort, then we're not going to be out here long. We'll be out here for an hour and a half. And I just think that is what was so game changing about Coach Trailer, is he put his trust in his players, and he expected vice versa in return. And I mean, if you look at it, I mean, when I came to UTSA, I mean, guys were fighting during practice. It just was not. You could tell that there was no real culture he came in and just put a culture within us, and to see him do that for broken people who come in here maybe don't have the best background, um, it just kind of makes you believe in guys like that, and he makes you believe in yourself. And if I had to say there's a motivational mastermind out there, it's Jeff Traylor. He is, I mean, he'll you could be you could be a paper boy and he'll make you believe that you'll be a billionaire next week. And so he is that guy.
And see, I've heard that. I've never actually had the chance to meet Coach Trailer, but I've heard so many great things about him. And this just goes right along with that. Now, I'm going to flip the script a little bit on you.
Okay.
Okay. Because from what little bit I do know about Coach Trailer, I kind of see some similarities. What do you see when you talk to Coach Bedwell? And I'm going to put you on the spot on that one, a little bit. Uh, but there's a reason why, and I'll get to it in a little bit. What do
Mhm.
you see in Coach Bedwell?
Just he knows what he wants. He knows he's got that end goal in mind. Um,
Mhm.
you're coming in and you're starting a league, you're starting a team in a league, and what can I do to not be at the bottom? What can I do to be at the top right when I get here? And Coach Traylor inherited a team that had won 3 games, and he came in and he's talking about winning conference championships right away, and he built that within a year. And Coach Bedwell, he's bringing in a staff with NFL experience, UFL experience, so you're able to get some guys that are really good because hey, this isn't about me. This is about getting opportunities for y'all. And now if you have guys that coaches that have these pedigrees, it's like one, are you gonna want to come learn from somebody with this pedigree? And two, he's got this pedigree. Do you not think he can't get you another situation later down the road? And so, kind of being able to meet with Coach Bedwell and looking at it, from Trailer's lens, I think those are two guys that start with the end in mind.
Absolutely. And that's the parallel that I was trying to get to.
Hmm.
There is something very unique, very distinct, and very similar with those two gentlemen. And I honestly think it starts with servant leadership.
Right.
They truly are here to serve you, to help you guys get the best opportunities and the best outcome that you possibly can from this opportunity called professional football.
Hmm.
And just to see how committed and how passionate they are about this, I was extremely fortunate a couple of years ago to see Jeff Traylor sit on a panel with, um, oh God, I think it was Phil Nicholson and I want to say it was Chichi Rodriguez. I could be wrong. But anyways, this was at the Texas Open,
Okay.
right? And I friend got me some tickets to actually go to the dinner. Not so much the game, right? But the dinner and hear the guest speakers speak. And uh no, it's Lee Trevino. There you go. I knew it was somebody. Okay. And if you know anything about Lee Trevino, he is an absolute entertainer. He will keep you enthralled for hours and he'll just take over every conversation. Oddly enough, right? Jeff Traylor's not that guy. Jeff Traylor's pretty quiet, pretty humble. When he had the chance to speak, he would get the same reaction because
Hmm.
people would be riveted on basically what he was saying, how quick he was to get to his point, and how much he meant it. And
Hmm.
it was impressive to see him up there with polished professionals that spend their time entertaining people on a daily basis. And he's, punch for punch, trading punches with these guys verbally and holding his own and impress the crowd just as much as a legend like Lee Trevino did. And it was like, oh my God, this guy's freaking phenomenal.
Right.
So flip that over to Coach Bedwell. when I met Coach Bedwell, and I actually, did get the chance to meet Coach Bedwell. Um, yeah, at first it was like, okay, this guy's a football coach, cool. I've met a couple of football coaches, Anthony Becht, Wade Phillips, Peyton Party, from the Brahmas, stuff like that, right? And so I figured, okay, it's he's going to be a coach, but he's going to be a coach, right?
Mhm.
But then he's actually sat and talked with us, and it was like, wait a minute, this is a head coach, and he's spending time with just an ordinary fan.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. And
Mhm.
then a couple more times we talked to him, and it was the same guy every single time, right? So that consistency, that servant leadership, that willingness to talk to everybody and help everybody out as much as he can, absolutely blew me away. So I'm definitely a fan of Coach. I think he's doing a phenomenal job, and I'm really excited for the opportunities that that is going to be eventually turn into for you guys, because I have a feeling that the team that he's picking is not just a team that's going to be staying around here for too terribly long, because people are going to see your talent, because he's going to make sure that they see your talent, and
Right.
people are going to be calling and asking you, hey, why don't you come play football up here? And then
Mhm.
it'll be a sad day and we'll lose you, and I don't want to see that, but
Right.
I mean, it is what it is,
Right.
part of
Right.
the game.
No
Okay,
doubt.
so we've been talking about all these cool things that have happened, and all these things that have kind of helped propel you forward in your career. Let's talk about the flip side of that. Okay. What is, in your mind, would you say is the biggest adversity that you've had to deal with in your professional football career so far? Like, what is the
Oh,
biggest hurdle you've had to overcome?
yeah. Really just getting over that hump, getting noticed, getting a chance because you look at the NFL, there's 32 jobs. You have to be one of the 32 best in the world. That's I mean, they're not carrying four guys at that position. They're carrying one guy every team. And now you're talking about, well, this guy's 29 years old. He still has 2 years left on his contract. We'll be in the market in 2 years. So now it's like that team's out of the equation. So now it's not just, hey, 32 jobs. Now it's like you got to make sure that that guy is on a contract here. You got to make sure that they want to go younger. They want to there's a lot of variables that play into it. And I think when you start watching some games, I'm like sitting here and I'll be watching a game with my dad, and those holders are real picky on field goal, and you look at my tape and a holder doesn't have to spin laces ever. I'm making sure those laces are straight up and down, just to make their job easier. Like I said, selflessness has always been a part of my game. That the snap is it's not about me; it's to make the holder's job easier, which makes the kicker's job easier. And when you're watching some games, you start kind of being I guess you kind of put yourself in that victim mindset, like, why is that not me? I can that holder's having to spin some laces. A little bit bigger, I'm faster, I'm a guy that's going to go run down, make a tackle. I'm not just a snapper. I'll get down there and put my face into somebody. And I start sitting here like, man, if I just get a chance, I'm going to run with it. And biggest thing when it comes to that adversity is just getting that chance.
Nice. So you said something that I'm really excited about. You don't mind, getting down there and putting your face into somebody. So obviously that means you do a little bit more than just long snapping. So I know you've kind of specialized in long
Mhm.
snapping, but what are some other things that maybe you might be able to do? Let's say coach wants to lean on you to maybe do a little bit more. What are some other positions that you're comfortable with playing?
Well, I mean, I've had experience playing defensive end. I can, I mean, first things first, I think if you're stepping on a football field, you need to be an athlete. I think a lot of kids nowadays, they go to these snapping camps just to learn how to throw a football off their fingers. And it's not enough when, if you're just getting on the field and all you can do is throw a ball under your legs, because when you're running down on fourth down, you're already taking a punter out of that equation because he's 15 yards behind and his specialty is just kicking the ball. Now, if
Mhm.
you have a snapper who can't go down and make an impact, I mean, now, it's 9 on 11, and you put yourself at a disadvantage. Um, I've always been an athlete. I can stick left and right. I can go down and hit somebody. Like I said, I had experience playing defensive end at O'Connor High School. If anything's asked of me, I've always been that guy that I'm not afraid to you know put my mouth into somebody else's. I mean, it could be one of those things where um, if you're 6'5", 350 pounds, you might kick my ass, but you're gonna at least feel all of me, and I'm gonna give it my best. And I think that's kind of the thing that I've always noticed when it comes to football is, if you're running at somebody and y'all make eye contact, you're gonna hit each other. um, you can either absorb it or you can apply it. And you want to be that guy who's applying it because you're gonna feel it regardless. And so why don't you make it to where that guy's feeling it a little bit more? And that's kind of how I've always kind of viewed it. And if someone were to ask me to do something on a football field, I'm not gonna be that guy that's just like, oh, well, all I can do is snap. I run a good 40 time at 256 pounds, and I can put up, like I said in my pro day, I put up 225, many, many times. So, um, like I said, you might be a guy 6'5", 330, and you might kick my ass, but I'll make sure that you get every single physical attribute out of me whenever I'm going up against you.
Well, I think you've already won our friend Tim English over. Tim is going to be a transplant from the DFW Metroplex. He's actually moving down here to Kerrville, and he's hasn't fully renounced his team connections with that other league, but he's definitely on board with the San Antonio Toros. And so, Tim, by the way, this young man, this gentleman, this saintly, angelic soul of a person happens to be 6'2", 240. Of his stats from UTSA, probably from last year. And I've met him. His hands are bigger than my face. This dude is a monster. You don't want to tangle with this guy. He's a big boy.
Shoot.
So, Tim, make sure you be nice to him. You shake his hand and call him sir, and just treat him well. But yeah, Tim's going to be one of our other support characters when it comes time for the San Antonio Toros to play anybody because he likes to make just as much noise as we do. We actually met at a UFL game. We played Arlington,
Sweet.
and him and his group were making noise. Us and our group were making noise, and we just gravitated towards each other. It was like
Sweet.
magnets just kind of being drawn
Yeah.
together. And Tim's a great guy though, but he knows how to get loud and rowdy and talk some trash. So you won't have to worry about it
I'll look forward
because
to meeting him
your
for sure.
offense.
Right.
Oh yeah, you're definitely going to want to meet him, especially in March when we have that event
Yeah, big
and
time.
everybody's invited. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that in just a bit. Um, but okay, so we talked a little bit about your football experience and history and your accolades and your adversities and everything. I want to start venturing into oh right here. Yeah. Just don't bobble your balls, especially if you're the long snapper. There's a whole
Oh
joke with that. I'll explain it
yeah.
sometime. Um but oh, and Tim, that's for you, baby. Anyways, uh let's start getting to know you as a person, right? You're obviously a professional athlete. You've been doing this for some time. What does your game day routine look like? Like, what do you do to get your mind focused and ready to go into combat? Because it's ultimately what it is, right?
Mhm. Yeah, no doubt. I follow in my dad's footsteps with this one, but I'm a big 80s metal guy. I get my AirPods
Nice.
in. I like my Motorhead. I like my Metallica. I know they're
Ooh,
probably a little more in the 90s, but I love Kiss. They're he and going back a little bit into the 70s too. Rush is a great band. That's my father's favorite band, and
nice.
there's something about that metal that it almost has. They say like ADHD people when they take a stimulant, it calms them down. That heavy
Hmm.
metal. it gets this fire burning, but it's not like I'm not, going off of walls. It's just kind of, it focuses me in. Um, I'll turn on the heavy metal, the real heavy metal, and I like listening to that stuff. Other than that, I've always been a guy that, I'm always calm in the chaos, and so I don't, you walk out into UT. I know you're a big fan of UT, but you go out there and you got
SA.
you got these students that, you're warming up. They're saying "F you, mother effer," and I'm gonna sleep with your mom tonight, blah blah blah, and you just kind of tune all that stuff out, turn your '80s metal on, warm up, and just kind of get after it. I'm a real simple guy when it comes to that stuff.
Nice. So I will tell you, there's a voice that you've heard 50 something times, right? It happens to be the announcer for the UTSA Roadrunners, a Mr. Milton Hope. I know him. I don't want to say he's necessarily, a personal friend like we're,
Mhm.
super, super tight. Uh the guy's way above my level for me to be that close of a friend with him, but he's an incredible, incredible dude. And obviously he would know who you are. So shout out to Milton Hope. Love that guy. I'm trying to see if I can't maybe bring him along with
Yeah.
you and some of the other UTSA alum to maybe do some announcing at the games, because obviously we have a familiar face. We have a couple of familiar faces, right? You and
Right.
Chris and a couple of
Mhm.
other guys. Uh, it just makes sense to have that familiar voice.
Right.
That
Big
way
time.
people kind of draw even
Yeah.
more into it because they're going to remember everybody.
Right.
Um, but like I love this comment right here by Tim. Said looks like you could hear to mess some stuff up and no bad words because he's trying to keep the comments clean, and I appreciate that. Um, I gotta say that's really surprising though that there are students of all people that are saying things that are completely over the line.
Oh yeah.
So I got to ask you this. I was going to ask you kind of what's the craziest like game day ritual or game day thing that you've seen, but let's go with what is the craziest like fan base or thing that's happened with you being an adversary
Mhm.
in your professional career? Like, what's the craziest thing you've seen somebody say or do or whatever to try and break your spirit, so to speak?
Yeah, so we're playing at FIU in 2022, and I mean, the game's about to start. In Florida, that weather is real. It could be raining one second, it's humid the next, but there's no precipitation. Um, and so it is probably about 20 minutes before the game's about to start. All of a sudden, I think it starts raining, and I look up and there's nothing. Well, I turn around, I have red Gatorade all up and down the back of my jersey, my pants, my legs. Some fan threw a Gatorade at me from the stands right before
Mm.
the game started. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. And they're ruthless. And it's not just me. They go after a lot of guys and they say a lot of things, and it's one of those things you got to have thick skin. But I'll tell you, I mean, the other teams, they put their students there for a reason because they know that's what they're going to be doing all game. They want to take you off of your game, and you just can't let that happen, especially when things like that happens, because you want to go up in the stands and find that guy, and you just can't do that.
That
Yeah.
right there. Okay, and so that brings me to 2 points I want to make. First and foremost, I'm sure you probably saw something about it or heard something about it at an absolute minimum. The slap heard around the world in the UFL last season,
Oh
in
yeah.
which, yeah, the Michigan player slapped
Right.
the St. Louis fan, right? What I don't know if everybody knows the full story or not. Um, but that video showing the player slapping the fan doesn't tell the whole story.
Hmm.
Before that, there were several verbal exchanges, but the fan leaned over the rail and was yelling at the player, And the part they don't show was right before that, where the fan actually spit on the player.
Right.
Hence, the player losing his mind, going up
Yeah.
and slapping the fan. Now, is that acceptable behavior? No. However, the fan assaulted the player,
Right.
right?
No doubt.
Bodily fluids, it's considered assault.
Yeah.
And if that guy had any kind of communicable disease or anything, now it's assault with a deadly weapon, right?
Right.
Um, so all of that wound up that fan wound up trying to sue the UFL, and it wound up getting dismissed from court
Yeah.
because the evidence came out that the fan did in fact spit on the player. And I think the player was kind enough not to press charges at that point. But
Right.
that's when the courts were like, okay, we're done here. You say, and by the
Right.
way, I hate St. Louis. St. Louis fans can be some of the trashiest people on earth. We've got some friends in St. Louis, some of the greatest people, and the city's not too bad. But there are some, and it's a surprising amount that are bad fans and give that city a bad
Right.
name. So
Yeah.
going into that, and Tim's making great comments. We talk trash. BD and I have personally been invited out into the parking lot to talk with people, things like that. But we never take it to that level where we're spitting on anybody, that we're involving their family members, anything like that. There has to be a level of respect. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to throw another team off,
Right.
but I am not crossing that line. I'm not saying anything
Right.
personal about their family, their kids, their parents. It's specifically about that player, right?
Right.
Example, hey, great job dropping that costly interception there, buddy. We appreciate you,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Different, like, I'm going to do things to try and get under your skin, but I'm not ever going to cross that line. And I think
Yeah.
us as fans, we have to remember that you guys are paid athletes, you're paid to do a job, but you're not paid to take that kind of abuse. Like, that's
Right.
ridiculous. You know,
Yeah.
you're you're playing for for your reasons, for our entertainment.
Yep.
We need to show that respect. You know. So anyways, I'll get off my soapbox about that. But it's just that's one of those things where the bad fans drive me absolutely crazy, man. It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
it's horrible.
It's all poking the
Just like,
bear until it gets to that point.
yeah. Well, even just like we had fans last season that were showing up. Well, one specific person showed up um and wore a paper bag over his head after the game was over and he was walking out and stuff. And it's like, dude, really? Like, how disrespectful is that to the
Yeah.
team? These guys are out there busting their tails,
Right. Yeah.
bleeding, laying everything they can out on the field, and
Yeah.
you're going to disrespect them by putting a bag on your head because
Right.
you're ashamed to be a fan?
Right.
Don't come in the next game then.
Yeah. No
Anyways,
doubt.
yeah, I'll get off my soapbox there. Okay, so Gatorade attack from the crazy fans. That's wild. Um, I've got to ask. This is something that we talked about before the show. I've got to ask. The way the Continental Football League shapes up right now, I have to believe there's going to be another team in the South, right, to kind of round everything out because you don't want to start a season with 7 teams. But of the 3 Texas teams right now, um, what who do you think is going to be our biggest rival and why?
Probably Austin, just because I mean, Austin and San Antonio, kind of essentially right down the road from each other. But two big cities in Texas. Um, Austin, San Antonio typically have always had a little bit of a rivalry. Everybody's always like, "Oh, what's the best big city in Texas?" Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. The fact that we're as close as we are to each other, uh, I think there'd be a big rivalry right there, and I'd be looking forward to playing that game and uh, get the best of them for sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know you've got some connections, but uh, there's no love lost between you and UT, right?
I mean, my entire father's side, with the exception of my father, they all went to UT. His dad ran track at UT. Um, he ended up going playing baseball and football at the next level, not at UT. That's probably why he didn't go there. But there's always been kind of that sort of bond. Um, but I also do have a couple of real close friends that played at UT as well, and so there's definitely some relations between the two for sure.
Okay. So kind of a healthy respect, but like frenemies, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it as frenemies. I'm just real. Like I said, I mean, UTSA, we went down and played, or I guess up and played Austin. We were beating them 17-7, heading in,
Hmm.
fixing to go to halftime. And it's one of those things where we had the best of UT, and it gets to a point where the guys they're rotating in versus the guys we're rotating in. You start looking at the guys we're rotating in, guys that came into college with no stars versus they're still rotating 5-star guys in there. And so, when you have all that money, you can get,
Hmm.
5-star guys all across the board. And, we shaped a team up there in 2022 that really could have beaten them, and we had the best of them there for a while. And so I do have a hatred for them simply because of that. And, you're sitting there hearing that, oh, we're the little brother, San Antonio, UTSA, the wannabe UTs. And I do have, I kind of have a hatred just because of that.
That is probably one of the most annoying things I've ever heard is that
Right.
UTSA is the little brother. And it's like, wait a minute now. Okay. Our program is a tenth the age yours is, and we've accomplished more in that amount of time than
Yeah.
you did
Oh, yeah.
in twice that time.
Yep.
So, granted, our program, our university may have stemmed off of their university, but our program is homegrown and we're doing it all our dang selves.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No doubt.
So we ain't nobody's little brother. We ain't using UIL money to try and buy the best talent and convince people to come here. We're getting people that are serious about playing for something bigger than themselves and
Right.
making a name as a result of it. Right.
Right.
So, uh, for Austin, right? Used to love going there and hanging out. I knew it was never a place I wanted to live. Now, in typical Texans talking football fashion, we just say, "Hey, Austin, suck it."
Yeah.
So
Big
there you
time.
go.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree.
Now, I will tell you, I like the owner of the Austin Syndicate. He's a great guy, but I've already been talking trash. And
Well,
every guest that we've had on that has been part of their staff or their team or whatever, we've warned them in advance. We're going to be the most cordial and most friendly, most welcoming people on earth. You've never seen the amount of hospitality we're about to show these people. But as soon as that whistle blows, it's fighting time.
right. Big time.
And we take that very, very seriously,
Big time.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So that being the case, um, we've talked a little bit about kind of you as a person now. Uh, who has the better breakfast tacos, Austin or San Antonio?
San Antonio, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Without a
Do
doubt.
the do the tacos in Austin really even count as tacos?
No, I mean, there's um, some good places down here. El Rodeo and Helotes is
Mm.
probably the most slept on breakfast taco place for the price and how big they are. Their corn tortillas and the cheese they use, it's unmatched.
Nice, nice. What are some other of your hot spots? Like,
Yeah.
what are your secret little places that you love?
I grew up in Helotes. B Daddy's barbecue out there
I
is
know it.
you go get that B Daddy sandwich, and I mean it's life changing. The bread that they use is just out of this world. And I mean, I would say B Daddy's and El Rodeo are two places that, these guys who aren't from San Antonio, they're coming down here, to UTSA, they're from Houston and they're going to these places thinking they're good. I'm like, hey, let's go to El Rodeo, let's go to B Daddy's. And it's funny because we start making these rituals, that there's Avery Morris, who's an inside linebacker at UTSA, and just one of the best humans I've ever known. But we started making it kind of a thing right before we would fly off. If we're flying to Kentucky or wherever it may be for an away game, we'd go to El Rodeo and eat some tacos. Or me and Jared Sackett, who was all conference kicker at UTSA, actually went to a camp with the Broncos. But we would take these guys to B Daddies, and now they're taking other people there. And I love doing that just because these are small businesses that all of a sudden they're getting all this support, and these UTSA athletes are going in there, and the small businesses just loving it. And I mean, they're giving to us, and we're giving it back to them. But that's just because they're really good.
Okay. So looks like they have a little bit of controversy from the comment section.
Mhm.
This is Sabrina, aka Sleepy Brahma, aka my fiance, my significant other, my much, much better half. Um, she's saying that the tacos here are nothing compared to Border Town tacos. What say you to that, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I'm real biased
Be
toward.
honest.
I mean, I'm real biased toward. There aren't a lot of places I'd go. I'm real loyal to El Rodeo. Like if I'm getting my tacos down here, I mean, to me nothing beats El Rodeo. And I'll load that taco up and get bean and cheese, bacon, egg, and even add some brisket into it. And I just got almost a burrito dang near. And you know,
Mm.
I got my loyalty there. So I'm gonna stick there.
And I agree with you. Um, So Sleepy's from the sleepy little town of El Paso. UTEP, go Miners,
Uh-huh.
or whatever they do. I don't know. It's
Right.
some kind of
Yeah.
weird Mario Donkey Kong thing. Anyways, they do have one advantage on us, and it's a place called Chico's.
Okay.
They have this weird uh it's almost like a soup, but it has taquitos in it with cheese on top of it. And that we don't have anything even remotely close to that. It would almost be like a spicy tomato soup, but really super watery. But
Okay.
then you've
Mhm.
got the taquitos to sop up that sauce
Oh yeah.
and then the cheese on it. It's
Sounds
like
good.
it's the perfect thing to eat
Yeah.
after like a night of really binge drinking, which we don't encourage here on the show, kids.
Right.
We
Right.
encourage you to drink responsibly, call an Uber, right? Be good people.
Yeah.
But if you were to go and do that, this is the place you would want to go to. And I liken it on the same level of Jack in the Box tacos in the
Okay.
same
Oh
situation.
God, the Jack in the Box
Yes,
tacos are. Oh my gosh, me and my dad,
diabolical.
me and my dad will go order 16 orders of that thing. He eats 4 orders, and I eat the other 12 orders, and they're I can eat those all day.
Yes, yeah. They're if and so you never got a chance to play like at UTEP or anything, right?
I did in
You
2021.
did. Okay. And you didn't go get Chico's, I'm assuming? You probably didn't even
We're
know
on
about it.
such a schedule, and they also they feed us buffet, and it's all you can eat buffet with brisket, fried chicken.
Holy cow.
I mean, and like you name the food, and we have it. And it's as much as you can eat, is as much as you can get. And we have these meetings around it and stuff like that. So we're on such a little time scrape. But I mean, they also are. I mean, I know we're adult men essentially, but they are responsible of the 50 plus guys they bring to those games. So they want us all in the hotel, if anything, and they cater their own food. But next time I'm there, I'll have to check it out for sure.
Okay. Yeah, definitely check it out. The experience is worth it. I'm not saying it's good. It would be like, okay, so the people in El Paso have their obsession with Chico's. I'm obsessed with White Castle,
Oh, okay.
right? Absolute worst food on earth, but I can't help it. Anytime I go to St. Louis or anywhere where there's a White Castle, I've got
Yeah.
to get some White Castle.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's disgusting. You can literally hear your arteries in your heart
Right.
hardening,
Right. Yeah.
but it's an
Yeah.
addiction, you know.
Those Bill
Um,
Miller
and,
breakfast tacos too are pretty game changing as well.
um, I don't know, man. I'm a little biased on that. Bill
You know,
Miller's is okay.
yeah,
Uh, I love what they do with the potatoes, but
mhm,
outside of that, oof, you
yeah,
know, I am more. Uh, it's got to be a hole in the wall, first of all,
right, yeah, I
because
can agree with that.
they just have some of the best stuff. There's a new place that we found that is just down the road from where we work at on Perrin Vital, so kind of over on the northeast
Mm,
side. Um, it's not quite the hole in the wall that I wish it would be, but they're pretty solid. But if you go up the road a ways, there is definitely a seedy little place,
okay,
and man, the tacos are so good. But I can't say their name because I honestly
you'll
don't
yeah,
remember it.
you'll
I
have to
just know
check
it's
out
like, oh, that's the breakfast
yeah,
place.
you'll have to check out La Tapatia. It's by J High School as well. The crispy tacos there and the price, uh,
Yeah,
game changing. Yep, you'll have to report back. Let me know what you think.
I will definitely let you know about
Mm,
that. Okay, so kind of getting to know you as a person and everything like that. This is one question that we tend to hear a lot from the fans in general, but what can we do as fans to support you guys in this endeavor? Whether it be, you know, game day, everyday situations. P.S. By the way, I used the connection with the San Antonio Brahmas today
mm,
to sell somebody on the San Antonio Toros,
right.
and the gentleman was wearing a yellow hat, Brahma's logo, and I'm like, "Oh, you too, huh?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I'm, March for life, and
Right.
right." And he's like, "Yeah, it was really sad, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Well, it's not actually over." And then I
Yeah.
started plugging the Toros.
Yeah.
Okay, so barring opportunities like that, because you kind of have to be a salesperson and looking for those opportunities. But what can we do to
Right.
support you guys?
Yeah. I mean, the way I kind of look at it, it's always kind of, initially, obviously, the other way around is that, we got to go out there and, because if we're losing 56-0, no people, want to pay to see some good football. But if we promise San Antonio that, you're going to get a good product on the field, um, I think just showing out and maybe posting a clip on social media. Maybe it's a former UTSA receiver making a huge catch. Because UTSA, we have a ton of support in San Antonio and some diehard fans. And if we get, some of our UTSA guys out there, um, these are the same guys that, we won conference championships with and at the Alamo Dome. So, just because UTSA is not on in the summer doesn't mean that hey there's not a few guys out there that brought a trophy back to UTSA that's not playing in the summer, and so you're going to get that same product on the field. And I think if you like seeing explosive players come out, take your phone out and hit record and maybe you don't necessarily have to post it on your main social media Instagram and share it on your story or something like that and just kind of show the excitement because I think that's what's going to bring people out is explosives and people want to be excited, they want to be entertained, and I think there's some guys that are going to be on this team that um, definitely played a huge role in people coming out to the Alamo Dome, and we brought some excitement back to the city and brought a ring back. So hopefully we do it again.
Oh, by far, all of the analysts that are talking about it, especially once the analysts saw how serious the league was, and specifically the
Mhm.
Toros, by bringing in Glanville to this
Oh yeah.
organization. They
Mhm.
knew that we're serious about football here,
Yep.
bringing in cats like you, stuff like that. Um, you're talking about highlight films. Maybe if we happen to see a certain long snapper who may, substitute in a trick play or something as a center, pancake blocking a 350-pound nose tackle, right? I mean,
Mhm.
probably would
Oh,
want to share that too, right?
bring it on. Let's go.
There you go. Okay. Um, I think it's also important that we talk about what you guys are doing as an organization, because it's going to be more than just guys like us, podcasts and whatever, trying to go out and spread the word. the league that was here before missed out on a golden opportunity that I believe you guys as a team and as a league as a whole are making sure that you capitalize on. And that's going out and getting involved in the community, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be some of the meet and greets or, going to schools and talking to the kids and stuff like that. Because let's be honest, the easiest way to sell tickets to a sporting event is to get the kids involved.
Right. Right.
The kids will do all the selling for you because they'll be badgering their parents. They meet you, Mr. Collenback. Mom, Dad, I can't believe it. I met the long snapper for the San Antonio Toros. This guy was amazing, right? And showing the autographs and the sports cards and stuff. And the parents are going to be like, what the heck's a San Antonio Toro? And then the kids are going to say, we got to go to the game. We got to go. Cade said he would sign a jersey for me. And then they're going to be like, okay, what is San Antonio Toros? Old Google
Right.
machine.
Right.
And there you go, right? That's the best thing. But are those going to be some things that the organization is going to be doing? And is that something that you as a player are going to be looking forward to?
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I think looking at it back, when I was in these little kids' shoes, I mean, I was looking at these high school football players as gods, and um, being kind of in my shoes now, it's really cool to see the way they look up to us now. And I remember specifically after we beat North Texas in the 2022 conference championship game, this mom took a picture. I picked up her son, put him on my shoulder pads and took a picture, and he just thought the world of that. And she had told me, like, hey, that she had reached out and was like, hey, that really meant the world to him. And I kind of sent back, I said, as much as that touched him, I think it touched me more, just because, like, just being able to do that for somebody, it's bigger than yourself for sure. And there's a lot of things that I remember as a kid that I'll never forget, just because I remember how I felt in that situation. And whatever I can do to kind of be that guy now for the generation below me is something that I'll definitely be looking forward to doing. My kind of like what I do mainly community wise is probably going to be mainly the kids, the high school, the elementary school. Like I said, am from here, and so they've had me out before once or twice. And um, I just want to kind of promote, um, one, just physical activity. I know elementary school started getting to the point where it's like they had these 15-minute long recesses, and these kids, they got so much energy. They don't giving them 15 minutes a day for recess is not setting them up in the best situation to go then back to class. That's because now their mind's going to be everywhere. They don't get that energy out. If I can maybe do something like I've done before, is host a football camp. Whatever I can do to help these young kids out is kind of been my niche, I'd say. I think I probably have a little bit of that coaching DNA in me, and I'm real patient with kids. I take my time explaining. I've just noticed I'm really good, in that realm. And so, hopefully, if an opportunity like that presents itself, like I said, I'm sure, whoever's doing it with me will be touching some hearts, but it'll touch mine as well.
That's awesome. See, me being a parent, that's the kind of stuff that I want to hear. That
Mhm.
you guys are kind of trying to pay it forward by paying it back, right?
Right.
Because you had somebody that connected with you when you were young and influential, and now that you're in that role, you're trying to make sure that you give that back so that as they grow up, they have the opportunity to then do the same thing themselves and
Right.
kind of keep it going.
Right.
um I think it's important, especially in today's society, with all the craziness that we have going on and all the discord and all the just difficulties that we have, in dealing with each other on a daily basis, that we take the time to kind of encourage and support and let kids be kids and be caught
Right.
up in that. And the joy of meeting a football player or uh, a basketball star or whatever, right? Because that kind of helps preserve and support the integrity of that whole experience of being a child, right? Like we just
Yeah.
grow up way too quickly and life hits us way too hard and way too fast. And so again, here's the parent in me, right? I want to make sure that my kids are protected as long as possible so they grow up with that strong support and belief and you know drive in themselves that they can go out and tackle this crazy world because let's be honest, it's pretty crazy out there.
Right. Yeah, no
So
doubt. No doubt for sure.
um awesome. Cade, um I have a couple more questions for you. I probably should have warned you in advance that here in Texans Talking Football, we try and do an hour show and we never stick within an hour. We just can't for whatever reason. We love to talk and I'm absolutely enjoying this interview.
Right, yeah, I am
Um
too. I appreciate it.
oh, certainly. No, trust me. The pleasure is all mine, sir. Uh you're the young aspiring athletic star, with the bright future in front of you, and I'm the loudmouth with a headset and a laptop. So, you know,
Right.
um, with with everything that's going to be coming up this season, obviously, you've got the football thing going on, and that's kind of central focus. Um, you've seen some of the players that have been brought in, some of the connections, and I, I've heard some things that I can't really say, can't really talk about because they're unsubstantiated rumors, and we make sure that we don't talk about rumors around here. Um, but I've heard tell you might be getting joined by some familiar faces,
Mhm.
some people that you have some connections with and stuff. But all that being the case, have you had a chance to look at some of the other signings and some of the other teams? And really, how do you think we stack up against that?
I mean, really well. I saw we had Big 12 running back of the year from TCU. And I think if San Antonio sticks around to hear some of these news, you make it out to a UTSA game, you'll be pretty excited to hear some of these names that are going to come out. Um, and we just there are some dudes that are signing with the Toros right now. One guy led NCAA in interceptions. He was out of he did that at FAU, transferred to Florida State, I believe it was. But I mean, you had another guy that played football at Arkansas. So I mean, this isn't like, hey, let's go see, this league where these guys are, they're coming from their plumbing apprentice job and then putting on the pads. These are guys that have proven themselves with accolades at a Power Four level or big Division I level. So I mean, you're going to be seeing some guys playing, and you're going to be seeing some good football. And San Antonio with what Josh and Stan are doing, um, San Antonio is going to be getting the best bang for their buck for sure when they go out and watch some games.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody knows I'm biased. I've said it from the very beginning. I'm always going to be a hometown homer. I'm always going to say that we're going to have the best team. But realistically, even with the sports background and trying to be a good sports analyst here, I have compared some of the rosters, and San Antonio's got a pretty nasty roster, man.
Oh yeah,
It's going to be some impressive stuff.
yeah, no doubt.
Um, nice. So, I want to make sure that, before we get kind of, wrap everything up here, March 20th is going to be Toros Spirit Night at Smoky Moe's over at 6010 UTSA Boulevard, right? Your neck of the woods. You're quite
Mhm.
familiar with that area, I'm sure. Um, are we going to see you there that night?
Yes, yes, for sure. I'll
Excellent.
absolutely make sure to be there, and hopefully, just I mean, every event so far has been out of this world. I mean, you I've been telling people it's been like a UTSA spirit walk. Um, you go to these spirit walks out of the Alamo Dome, and there are people out there just, I mean, excited. And when I showed up, for the first event, there were some people that were really, really excited about what's going on in San Antonio. And
Mhm.
the second event you go out there, there's already some diehard fans, and the league hasn't even begun yet. And I'm just like I said, I think it's super cool for San Antonio, and with what San and Josh are doing and bringing in the guys that they are bringing in, it's only going to get more exciting from here. And so, I mean, if you're out there and you're a guy that just likes to watch some good football, I can promise you, you're gonna be seeing some good football, some good talent.
Absolutely. So again, fans, don't forget, mark it on your calendar. I shared it to our Facebook page. We'll be sharing it all over the socials here in a little bit ourselves. But the Toros have already posted it on their page. It's going to be March 20th from 5 p.m. until, I guess, whenever they turn the lights on and say, you guys got to go. But it is going to be Toro Spirit Night at Smoky Moe's. That whole weekend, in fact, there's a bunch going on. And team owner Josh actually shared this earlier that there's going to be a coaches camp that Saturday and then open tryouts on Sunday. So it's going to be a very, very busy weekend for you guys. And I'm assuming at the open tryouts, you guys might be there as well, just to kind of help participate and uh, you give guys opportunities. Like quarterback might need somebody to snap, or a kicker might need somebody to snap to them. That you guys would be jumping in on that,
Yeah,
or
well, like I said, snapping's a selfless thing. It's not about me; it's about that punter, that holder, that kicker. So, if Coach Bedwell needs me out there snapping to somebody, I'll be there.
excellent, excellent. Well, we are going to be there as well. We want to make sure that, we're bringing all the latest and greatest news to the San Antonio community. We are Texans talking football, so it's everything football from a Texas perspective. But we always try and make sure that we take care of home first, whether it be UTSA, UIW, Trinity, any of the local high schools, things like that. And real quick, definitely shout out to Texas Sports. They are the official media partner with the San Antonio Toros, and they have been very gracious to help us out with stuff. And so I definitely want to give a shout out to those guys because, without good news sources, guys like us don't really have, credible sources and things to talk about. So, guys, thank you. I appreciate that. Now, I think at this point, Mama's probably giving me the stink eye. So I'm going to probably have to land this show real quick. But I want to give our fans one last chance to make sure that they're staying up to date with the latest and greatest, especially with everything that's going on with Mr. Cade Collenback. So go ahead, plug all your socials that you want people to follow you on and stuff like that. And then we'll wrap it up from there.
Yeah. Do you want me to say that or type it somewhere?
Uh, you can do either or,
Yeah,
both.
yeah. You just search my name up, on Instagram. I think my name is right here on the screen, but um,
Mhm.
you give me a follow there. I try my best to repost the Toro signings, and also try to help get the word out there in San Antonio. And so if you wanted to follow me on there, I'll gladly follow you back, and hopefully I can help make a community out of it as well. Because like I've been pretty hard on it. It really isn't about me, so I'm excited to kind of engage with everybody.
And fans, he's 100% not selling you a bill of goods. He talked to me at the event. Just, some crazy podcaster came up and started talking to him, and he responded, with the kindest heart and the most welcoming handshake. It was awesome. And so he really is genuine. So follow him on social media, stay up to date on the latest and greatest. It's all going to be good stuff. Oh, there's this gentleman right here, Mr. Harden. We actually met him at one of the games up in Arlington, and that is kind of sad. If Mr. Harden, if you're actually done with football, football definitely lost out on a great player. He was an individual who was trying to get opportunities to even get a walk-on tryout with the UFL, and things just did not work out there. But I've seen his game film. The guy can ball. So if he's done, man, lost kind of a good one there. But anyways, we get off topic here. That tends to happen to me quite often. Go figure. But Cade, thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing everything about yourself. I do feel that the fans have a much better feeling for who you are, your dedication to your craft, and more importantly, your dedication to your city and to the San Antonio Toros. So I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to come and talk to us, and just let's get to know you a little bit better, man.
Yes, sir. Well, I really appreciate you having me.
Oh, always, man. Guests like you guys do all the heavy lifting. I just have to sit here and let you guys cook, man. So I've got no complaints there whatsoever. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn your camera off. If you want to hang back in the back for just a second, I'll go ahead and shut the show down and all that, and then
Yes,
I'll be
sir.
right back with you.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Sounds good. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Cade Collenback, San Antonio legacy legend. Uh, Comes from great football stock. He's well connected with the sports community here in San Antonio, along with his family. He's almost like the San Antonio Mannings, right? With the uncles and the dads and the grandfathers and everybody kind of being involved with sports. This is a young man who you are not going to want to miss out on. So if you haven't been paying attention to the San Antonio Toros, like, you must be living under a rock or something. I don't know, because I mean we're screaming it from the rooftops. The social medias are blowing up with everything going on with the San Antonio Toros. This is what you're going to want to start following. Okay, so you want to learn more about the team? Come on out to Smoky Mo's on the 20th and come visit with people and ask questions, and just get to know everybody. Come talk to Josh, local people that were involved with the previous organization who own the team, are here, aren't going anywhere, right? We've done about 1,000 shows on how the Continental Football League is different from any other sports opportunity that's happened here. And we want to make sure that we're doing our part to support it. So come on out, visit with the team, get to know some of the players. Uh, it's going to be a great time. We'll be there. All the players will be there. The players will be there, and that's going to be way more important than us. But we'll be there to make sure that you see that they're there. That being the case, we're going to go ahead and end the show here. But first and foremost, want to give a shout out again to Texas Sports. Thank you guys again so much for your support. Couldn't do it without you guys. Absolutely appreciate all the support that you've done. Also want to give a shout out to Mike G and the Alternative Football Network. And give a shout out to Dirty and the X Fan Show, making sure that they're covering the COFL and getting the news out there and helping all of us out in Texas. Guys, over here is our QR code. If you're interested in getting some of that sweet Texas Talking Football merchandise, that's the place you're going to want to go. And we will be updating our store real soon with some more stuff. And I might even throw in a little new merch, Tim. You see what I'm saying? But I also want to thank you, fans. Thank you guys so much for tuning in whenever we go randomly live and watching. Couldn't do it without you guys. Couldn't do it without your support. You're the reason why I do this. So thank you guys all so much for all the support that you show. And most importantly, vamos Toros, and suck it, Austin. And we'll see you guys soon.